All right. So today, Hardy has partnered with IDEA to present to you guys about EDI implementation. So we have Susan Emenegger from IDEA here today. She's their business development manager. She is a 30-year veteran of the information technology industry. Susan has technical expertise applying EDI technology, resulting in the implementation of the first EDI managed services for IDEA. Susan has direct experience working with buying groups and associations to assist companies with the supply chain. So now I will hand it over to Susan.
Well, thank you so much, Emily. I appreciate the introduction. That was very kind of you. And good morning, good afternoon, depending on the time zone that you're in, to everyone out there. And thank you for joining today. I know times are a little rough right now, and I really hope everybody and all your families are doing well. So having said that, we're going to spend a little bit of time today talking about EDI in general, and then options for you to consider when you're implementing your EDI environment. As far as the agenda goes, there's just 4 main things we're going to cover today. We're going to talk a little bit about the evolution of buying patterns. We'll talk a little bit about what EDI is. And then we'll talk about some options to implement EDI and some considerations that you want to think about, thought provokers, when you're determining what's the best way to implement EDI for your organization. And I'll wrap this up with a little bit of information about IDEA, what we do, and how we can assist you. I will try to leave some time at the end of this presentation for questions. So I'm originally from New York. I might be in a little New York mode, talking a little fast here, just to make sure we have time at the end. So I want to take a step back and just kind of take a look at how our purchasing habits have changed. So in the past, purchasing decisions were primarily made based on availability. And then from there, purchasing decisions were made based on familiarity or brand loyalty. And then most recently, we see a whole generation of folks that are making purchasing decisions based on attributes, product data, and product specifications. And along with the way people have changed how they purchase items, we have had technology changes. Phones were heavily used to exchange information not too long ago. And then we were introduced to the fax and the email, which took up a good portion of technology enhancements that allowed you to exchange information with customers and among the organizations. And then today, more and more purchasing is actually moving to electronic platforms. So as the use of technology increases for purchasing, you know, the term B2B or business to business integration is being adopted and being widely talked about. So B2B integration is simply the automation of business processes and communication across your organization or across companies. And by adopting B2B integration, organizations can actually work more effectively and more efficiently. So how does EDI relate to B2B? EDI is actually the most commonly used B2B e-commerce technology. So simply, EDI is the process of sharing information between you and other organizations that are using different systems. The information is passed along through today's EDI standard electronic formats. And the idea here is to remove the need for human intervention. Think of it this way: EDI is the translator and transportation for delivering your business documents to your trading partners. Each of your trading partners may be using different ERP systems, but EDI makes the different ERP systems talk to each other. EDI transactions are actually essential to the B2B processes, and they continue to be the preferred means to exchange documents and transactions between businesses, both large and small. According to a recent research study from Forrester, EDI continues to prove its worth as an electronic message data format. And the research in this Forrester study states that the annual volume of global EDI transactions exceeds 20 billion per year, and it's still growing. So to put that in perspective, 85% of electronic business transactions actually use the EDI standard. So let's take a step back and look at what a typical order process looks like. This is a typical B2B business process where we're actually sending an order. So the purchaser creates a purchase order, then emails, fax, or and sends the purchase order to the vendor. The vendor then receives the order and inputs the purchase order in their own system. The vendor may call or email or print and fax the order acknowledgement. The purchaser can then input the update of that order in their system and hopefully recognize any exceptions from the purchase order. The vendor will then mail, email, or fax the shipment information. The purchaser then inputs the shipment information in their system. And then after it's been shipped, the vendor will email or print and fax the invoice. And then the purchaser receives the invoice and enters the invoice in their system. And then your payment process begins. So if you take a step back and you actually look at this, you can recognize that this is a very manpower intensive process and it can be expensive. So when two businesses use EDI, the B2B transaction happens like this. The purchaser creates the purchase order, inputting procurement details. The purchaser system sends the information to the vendor system. The acknowledgement is created in the vendor system and sent back to the purchaser immediately. The acknowledgement is then reconciled with the purchase order. An ASN, or an advance ship notice, is sent when the item ships, and the invoice is then sent electronically when the billing process starts. And all of the above happens without any human intervention. So what does it take to actually enable that EDI process and move from that manual intensive order process to more of an automated EDI process? And there's a few components that are needed to get your organization up and running to exchange EDI documents. So the first is business software. You all have your ERP systems. They can be systems that you purchase, systems that are customized, but it's the system that you use in your organization to run your business. And on top of that, or connected to that, you need the capability to map data from your ERP or business software system to an EDI standard document. Communication software is also needed to establish the connection between your organization systems and the van, or directly to your trading partner. On the other end, you can see your trading partners or the organizations that you're doing business with. They need to run the same mapping and translation software capability that is connected to or interfaced with their ERP system. And they also need the communication software to establish the connections on their end. And in the middle, you have what's called a van. It's a value-added network. And the van is a secure hosted platform. You can think of it as your post office. It is a collection of mailboxes. Each company has a mailbox on the van, and the documents are routed between company mailboxes. You and your organization connect directly to your mailbox. That's where you put your EDI documents, and that's where your trading partners' documents that will be sent to you will be put in your mailbox for you to retrieve. So in its simplistic form, these are the components that are needed to set up an EDI environment. We've talked a lot here about this ordering process where we send a purchase order and receive updates on the purchase order right through the invoicing process. But I want to take a step back and just take a look at the business processes that exist in an organization and across the supply chain. Because EDI automation actually exists across all of these processes and can provide a lot of effectiveness and efficiencies across your supply chain initiatives. So we talked a little bit about the efficiencies that can be gained in the order to cash process. The order to cash process and the procure to pay process are actually very similar. It's the same set of EDI business documents. One set is exchanged with customers, one set is exchanged with suppliers. So you'll either initiate the purchase order if you're ordering from a supplier, or you'll receive a purchase order if you are receiving an order from a customer. There's other areas that you can leverage EDI as well. And the more you extend your EDI capability, the more efficiencies and return on investment you're going to get. From a transportation process, your EDI documents can help you automate the bill of lading and the freight invoice process. So one thing you might want to consider is taking a look at whether or not there would be efficiencies gained in your organization if you weren't printing those bill of ladings, or if you're not rekeying in all those freight invoices that you're receiving. So another area to explore for efficiencies, maybe with a remote warehouse or a third-party logistics provider. There's a series of EDI documents that can help automate the process of communicating customer orders to remote warehouse locations, and then your inventory processes that go along with the shipment and fulfillment from orders from third-party locations. Across the supply chain, you're going to notice there's a lot of benefits from leveraging EDI. 5 main ones we're going to talk about here. So EDI technology saves time and money. And it does this by automating a process that was previously manually executed with paper and documents. So think about that manual process we saw a few slides back. The expenses associated with the people, the paper, the printing, the reproduction, the storage, the filing, the postage, document retrieval, they're all reduced or eliminated when you switch to exchanging EDI documents. And these can lower your transaction costs by at least 35%. EDI solutions can also improve speed and accuracy. More business documents are shared and processed in less time with greater accuracy. So EDI can speed up your business cycles by 61%. You're exchanging transactions in minutes instead of days or hours. It can also improve your data quality, delivering at least a 30 to 40% reduction in transactions with errors by eliminating those keying errors from the illegible handwriting, the lost faxes or the emails, or just the keying and the rekeying errors. Using EDI alone can reduce the order to cash cycle time by more than 20%, which improves your business partner transactions and your relationships. The third benefit is that the EDI data transfer reduces errors. EDI standardization helps ensure that information and the data is correctly formatted in that standard EDI document before it actually enters into your business systems or your business applications. Quick processing of accurate business documents can lead to less reworking of orders, fewer out of stocks, and fewer canceled orders. Enhanced visibility is another benefit because EDI data transfer enables real-time visibility into transaction status. So this in turn can enable faster decision-making and improved responsiveness to changing customer and market demands. In addition, the electronic EDI documents can actually be integrated with a wide range of IT systems to support data collection, visibility, and ultimately business analytics. Last but not least, EDI automation supports your positive customer experience and strategic benefits. You can streamline your ability to enter new territories and markets because EDI provides that common business language that facilitates business partner onboarding anywhere in the world. It also promotes social responsibility, corporate responsibility, and sustainability by replacing paper-based processes with electronic alternatives. So how do you actually get up and running with EDI? And what's the best way to do it? So there's 3 main approaches to getting up and running with EDI operations. One is to do it all in-house. One is to select a trusted partner and outsource your EDI capability. And there's also a hybrid approach where you can combine the two to make it work for your organization. With the in-house approach, your organization is actually purchasing and supporting all the components needed for EDI. So this would include that EDI module for your ERP software, which is the mapping and translation software, also the hardware and servers to run the software on. Communication software is needed to establish the connections, and then a team of people are needed to create the EDI maps, produce the EDI standard documents, and then also this environment needs to be monitored and maintained. If any errors or issues arise, the in-house EDI team would research and resolve those issues. With the outsourced approach, it's an opposite, obvious. Purchasing hardware and software is not required. And in most cases, a simple data file is sent to your EDI partner and they'll handle all the mapping on your behalf, the translation, and the sending and the receiving of the EDI documents. In an outsourced model, the partner will also be monitoring all your EDI document transactions for errors, and they'll actually work to resolve them if any occur. Typically, with this approach, an organization will designate one person as their EDI coordinator. It tends to be a part-time role, and that's the person that interfaces with your outsourced partner in case you want to add new documents, you have more trading partner onboarding requests, and so forth. And then, of course, there's a hybrid approach, and you can combine these 2 approaches in a lot of ways. What I have seen done is a company that was exchanging EDI documents with a vendor also wanted to begin exchanging documents with customers, but did not feel that they had the expertise in-house to continue to expand their in-house operations. So they actually left their existing operations intact, worked with an outsourced partner to create the new maps with their new customer trading partner base, and then worked with those documents actually in an outsourced model. So they ran their in-house EDI and they had an outsourced EDI for their customers. So how do you know which one is the best for you? There's a lot of things to consider. This is just a snapshot of some of the things that you should really take into consideration when you're looking to either implement an EDI environment or if you're looking to extend your EDI environment. And the first thing I want to talk about here is changing scenarios. Things change all the time in organizations. Take a look at your infrastructure. Is it aging? Many companies are facing outdated systems and growing EDI requirements. And if an upgrade is in order, it's a good time to review your needs and your options rather than reinvesting you can either reinvest in new infrastructure or you can move to more of an outsourced model. Staffing can be a challenge. Companies often experience a knowledge deficit if they were doing in-house EDI and a key EDI staff member either retires or leaves. EDI technology is actually not taught in colleges anymore, so trying to hire folks to maintain EDI environments is getting more challenging today than it used to be a few years ago. Additional requests, new trading partner requests may be coming in, new document requests may be coming in. You either might not have the expertise or you might not have the time to actually handle those timely and in the time frame that's needed by your trading partners. You also may be visiting or researching new ERP software, or you could be going through a change like an acquisition or a merger. And in either of these cases, technology infrastructure changes may dictate reviewing your current EDI system and deciding what's going to be needed in the future. From a current state position, if you're doing EDI today, take a look at what's going on in your EDI environment today. What is your current rate, volume of documents that are exchanged, or kilocharacters, which is simply the size of the documents that are being exchanged today monthly? What transaction types are automated? Are you automating the order to cash process? Are you also in the procure to pay process? Have you extended your EDI documents into some of the other business processes like the remote warehouse or the transportation area? How many EDI trading partners are active? So really get a handle for what's the volume of activity in your current state, and then take a look at your operations. Are you experiencing any technical difficulties or downtime? Are there any pain points that are occurring today? Are you able to react to market changes or trading partner requests within a reasonable time frame? And then what's working and what could use some improvement? And then finally, take a look at your infrastructure. How long has your current EDI solution been in place? And do you have the sufficient capacity to manage your current EDI improvement? So really understanding what's your current state, where are you today, so you know where you can reap benefits in reevaluating solutions. Culture and staffing, I don't want to underestimate this one because you really have to evaluate in-house, outsourced, and hybrid to ensure a good fit. Really take a look at the culture and how your organization works. Is your organization supportive of strategic partnerships? Is there a comfort level with outsourced operations? Is there a comfort level with cloud-based systems? Those comfort levels and trust would need to be in place to really make an outsourced partnership work. Is the culture more geared towards, we like it here, we like the experience in-house, and we really want to control what happens with our EDI environment? That really makes a difference when you're actually trying to select in-house versus outsourced versus a hybrid type of solution. Goals and growth. Take a look at what your company initiatives are. So in the next 2 to 5 years, what company initiatives are planned to pursue automation and efficiency? Are you looking at moving to more automated models? If so, how does that affect EDI? Are you going to expand your EDI transactions, or are you going to implement EDI transactions? You also want to take a look at your growth forecast. Are there plans in place to enter new markets, really go after a new customer base, introduce a new product line? And with those goals and growth initiatives in place, do you have the team members in-house to grow? Will you need to look at some automation opportunities to be able to enable and successfully achieve those goals and growth forecasts? And last but not least, you really got to take a look at and consider the investment opportunity. When you are considering in-house versus an outsourced model, there's some key differences as far as capital expenditures and operating expenses. So in an in-house model, because you're purchasing the hardware and the software, you're tending to use capital money to purchase that software and hardware, and also your annual maintenance. And in an outsourced model, the payment process is typically a monthly subscription where you're paying a monthly operating expense to have your EDI operations run by your trusted partner. So if you're looking at investing in manufacturing improvements or warehouse automation, or there's capital investments being made in your core business processes, then you want to take a look at your EDI operations and kind of those back-end processes. Does it make sense to spend capital to invest in your EDI operations, or would it make sense to use operating expense moving forward to support your EDI operations? So all of these items really need to be looked at to determine what's right for your organization. There is no one right answer and no one wrong answer. It really is a collective decision of all the items that are going on in your organization and at this point in time in your organization. Because what was right 5 years ago may not be right 2 years from now. So now that I've given you a lot to think about and to consider, I really wanted to take just a few minutes here to talk about who IDEA is. We're kind of unique. Our ownership is actually NEMA and NAED, which is the Distributors and the Manufacturers Association in the electrical industry. And our focus for the last 20 years has been assisting manufacturers and distributors with automation to increase efficiencies. So we really focus on the wholesale manufacturing distribution industry. We've been working with companies to set up EDI for over 20 years. We have over 4 million EDI documents exchanged monthly on our EDI van. If you think about in-source or in-house solutions versus outsourced solutions, I want you to consider reaching out to IDEA, because we offer all the mapping and translation software that's needed to support the in-house solutions. And if the outsource model is where you think you want to go, we also offer a full suite of outsourced managed services offerings. And the nice thing about us is we'll actually tailor that to your needs. Here's a quick slide.
Just make sure we're all muted.
You can take them here.
Here's a quick slide. Thank you, Emily. Of some of our customers that use IDEA Exchange. So we are, as I said, just widely used in the industry. And we're really proud of our customer retention rate. Customer satisfaction is a key focus for us, and having a 98% retention rate and satisfied customers makes us very proud. So in closing, I want to let you know that IDEA Exchange platform really provides real results for all of our customers. Our customers have achieved reduction in order costs, data errors, the reduced order to cash cycle that we talked about, and a reduction in administrative work. I want you guys to know the ROI is there for EDI, and we're really here to help you achieve it. With that, I am going to say thank you for your attention and open it up for questions if you have any.
And to ask any questions, there is a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. You can just type in any questions that you have there, and we will answer them.
And Emily, one thing I forgot to mention to everybody is we do have a white paper that actually goes through a lot of the content that I talked about today. So we will be sending that white paper out to everybody. So you have that after this webinar.
Perfect. Thank you, Susan. Everybody will also be receiving a copy of this recording as well to your email. All right, I do not see any questions. Thank you guys for attending today. Oh, we have one question that come in. What industries are you serving other than electrical? Any plumbing?
We do. Great question. We actually have plumbing. We have some HVAC. I think you might have seen Rockport Shoes. We have some retail. We actually have Virginia DOT. So the nice thing about EDI is it is industry agnostic, and we support EDI customers across many verticals.
Perfect.
And actually, Glass Floss Industries has actually just signed with us as well. So we're excited to help them get up and running on EDI. And they're a Hardy member.
One more question. What value does the VAN add? Is it able to compare an invoice detail against the PO and against the ASN? How does it do it?
Oh, that's a really great question. So again, your VAN is your value-added network. And you want to think of the VAN as a post office. So it's really the delivery mechanism and the mailbox mechanism that's moving around all those electronic EDI documents. And one of the reasons people elect to use a VAN is because there's some security in the VAN, and it's a hosted platform. The alternative to a VAN is actually establishing a direct connection between you, your organization, and every single one of your trading partners. So you would actually manage kind of a direct connection. If you had 30 vendors that you were ordering from, you would have 30 different connections and kind of 30 different mailboxes and 30 different folder systems on a server that you would have in-house that you would be managing, maintaining, and monitoring. So the VAN is kind of the communication or the transport mechanism to move and deliver those documents. And an alternative to a VAN is directly connecting to each of your trading partners. You are looking for a benefit around reconciliation of documents. And a lot of that is actually handled in the business rules with the mapping and translation software, which we have a solution for as well, and in your ERP system. So the component of the mapping and the translation software is where you build a lot of your business rules in. And then decide how to get that information into your ERP system.
We had a follow-up question that came in the middle of that. It says, can the VAN compare against docs?
Can the VAN compare against docs? I'm not sure.
DOCS, like documents, I'm assuming.
So when you mean comparison, I need a little more information on that one.
Let me unmute Gabriel here. All right, Gabriel, you're unmuted. Are you there, Gabriel?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you now.
Yeah, I was curious, does the VAN, can it compare amongst documents, to my first question? Can it compare that the invoice, has the correct price? Like if the invoice says a line item says $8, but the latest version of the order says it was $9, or the invoice should have 10 line items, and the ASN has 11. Does it compare against documents, or is it just, like you say, as a post office, just deliver the documents and there's no business intelligence within it?
Yeah, it's a great question. And a lot of these features are evolving. So VANs used to be just a post office and they did routing. And now there's tools that allow you to see the documents on a VAN, right? So you can see all of your purchase orders that are sent to your trading partners, and you might get something like a little green check mark that says it was received successfully. So now you have insight into, have your documents been received? And now you actually have further capability to say, here's the purchase order that I had, and here's the associated acknowledgement, advance ship notice, and invoice. So it actually shows you the string of documents together. As far as reconciling, for example, if you order 4 items and only 3 items ship, that's kind of a customization that we work with businesses on, because some businesses allow partial shipments, some businesses don't allow partial shipments. So you want to configure that software to put an alert in place, or to put a notification in place that the shipment doesn't match the purchase order, or the invoice price doesn't match the purchase order price. So those are all things that we actually kind of build in, and from an alert and a monitoring perspective, and work with you to determine how to get that information into your ERP. Some businesses want that invoice to go in automatically, and they'll flag it in their ERP system. Some people don't want that invoice to go into their ERP system. They put it in a holding pattern until it's reconciled. So we work with you on those rules and how to set that up best for your organization.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right, any other questions? All right, well, if you do come up with any questions, feel free to send Susan an email. Her email is provided here, and then she will also be sending you guys a white paper. Is there anything else you want to add, Susan?
No, just thanks everybody. I appreciate your time. And I certainly hope everybody has a great afternoon.
Thanks, everybody.